Next is your Curie's law. That is the Curie's law in magnetism. What the law states? The Curie's law in magnetism states that the law states that the magnetization M depends of a magnetic material depends upon the intensity of magnetizing field X depends upon the intensity of magnetizing field on what way? That M is directly proportional to H. Number 2 depends on the absolute temperature of the material. And how it depends? This M is inversely proportional to absolute temperature T. So by combining these two, if you combine these two, what you will get? M is proportional to H by T. Or also you can take this as or intensity of magnetizing field, or if you can mention that in terms of flux density. As you know, M is proportional to mu naught, that is B is equal to, already you know that B is equal to mu naught H. B is the in free space. Suppose I will take B naught, flux density, mu naught H. So H equal to B naught by mu naught. So it also, you can write this as M is proportional to B naught by mu naught. Also you can write like this. Means this M is also proportional to B naught. Okay, so you can say this as M is also proportional to your B naught. Clear? So if you write this in terms of this one, you can write also mu naught H. The point is that the law states that the magnetization of a magnetic material depends upon the intensity of magnetizing field H, directly proportional and inversely proportional to the absolute temperature of the material. So if you combine this, M is proportional to that, take this for H by T, or I can write this as M is equal to a constant of proportionality C H by T, where your C is the constant of proportionality. That is called as constant of proportionality, called as Curie constant. According to the name, it is called Curie constant. So if you write this as M by H is equal to C by T. What is this M by H? This M by H is called susceptibility. So this implies magnetic susceptibility is equal to C by T. That is the required formula. So the Curie law can also be defined as, or also stated as, the magnetic susceptibility of a magnetic material. Already we know this susceptibility. magnetization divided by the intensity of magnetizing field, H, M by H. So I can say this as the susceptibility is inversely proportional to absolute temperature. So we can state that, or also we can state that, the law can also be stated as, the law states that the magnetic susceptibility chi m of a magnetic material is inversely proportional to absolute temperature. So the law can be finally stated as is equal to C by T, where C is the Curie temperature and T is in absolute temperature. It is the so this is the absolute temperature. Okay. Next comes to your magnetic materials. So what do you mean by these magnetic materials? The materials which are affected by a magnetic field are called magnetic materials. The materials which are affected by a magnetic field, which are affected by a magnetic field are called, the materials which are affected by the magnetic field are called the magnetic materials. So Faraday divided, or it differentiated the magnetic materials into 5 categories. So the magnetic materials are of 5 categories. These are 5 categories. One is diamagnetic material, paramagnetic materials, ferromagnetic materials, antiferromagnetic materials, and last one is the ferrites. The magnetic materials are broadly classified as 5 categories. But in our syllabus, we will only discuss about the 3: diamagnetic material, paramagnetic material, and ferromagnetic material. These 3 are in our syllabus and in our scope of the book, right? So we will discuss only para, ferromagnetic materials. What we read here is that we will read that in a classification form, means we will classify that and we will read this in a differentiation form. Dia, para, ferro. What is the difference between these 3? We will read that in a differentiation form. Means the question may be asked that differentiate between dia, para and ferro, or differentiate between dia and para, or differentiate between para and ferro, or dia and diamagnetic and ferromagnetic. So we will read about in a differentiation form. Okay. So let me differentiate these 3: dia, para and ferromagnetic materials. So let me write this thing. The differentiate between diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic materials. Okay. Differentiation between diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic materials. Let me differentiate these. So now let us differentiate that. Let me write first diamagnetic. Number one. Then let me write in differential, make this in the three halves. Diamagnetic, paramagnetic materials, and the last one is the, I will write this is the ferromagnetic materials. Let me write in differentiation for ferromagnetic materials. Diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic materials. We will discuss in the differentiation form. Okay. So now write one by one. Diamagnetic. What is the diamagnetic materials? These are the magnetic materials. Which are weakly repelled by a magnet. So I am not writing the complete sentence. You can make the complete sentence. These are weakly repelled by a magnet. Means when a magnet is there and you could place a diamagnetic material, then this diamagnetic material is weakly repelled by the magnet. Means they are repelled by the magnet, right? And in case of para, they are weakly attracted. They are attracted, but weakly attracted by a magnet. But in case of ferromagnetic material, they are strongly attracted. They are strongly attracted by a magnet. So that is the first difference. So dia weakly repelled by a magnet, para weakly attracted by a magnet, ferro strongly attracted by a magnet. Number two. Then we place, if I take a diamagnetic rod, like a bar magnet core, like your bar magnet core. So if I take a diamagnetic material rod like this shape, right, and this is the long axis, this axis is long compared to this diameter. If it is in the rod form, a diamagnetic rod, then it is freely suspended in a magnetic field, in an external magnetic field. Means, so let me show that in a diagram. Suppose this is a north pole and this is a south pole. So it will set a magnetic field. So let me show the magnetic field like this. So this is the magnetic field from north pole to south pole, and this is suppose a uniform magnetic field north to south. And if I will place a rod-shaped diamagnetic material in a rod shape. So if I suspend freely in a rod shape, then this is the rod shape diamagnetic material. If I place that, its long axis will be perpendicular to the magnetic field. It comes to rest. It is freely oscillates like this. Now it is freely suspended. If I thread is tied like this, and it comes to rest by a thread. If it is freely suspended in between the magnetic field, then it will come to rest perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. So when freely suspended, it comes to rest. It comes to rest perpendicular to the magnetic field. That rod will become like this. But in this case, when you take a paramagnetic, it comes to rest along the direction of magnetic field. Means, suppose this is the north pole and the south pole is like this, and this set a magnetic field. So this set a magnetic field like this. So suppose this is a magnetic field from north to south. And the rod which comes to rest, if it is freely suspended, if it is a paramagnetic rod, it comes to rest like this. Along that it is freely suspended like this, and it will come to rest along the direction of magnetic field. But it comes to rest slowly because these are weakly attracted. These are attracted but weakly attracted, so it comes to rest slowly. So when freely suspended, when freely suspended, it comes to rest slowly, along the direction of magnetic field, along the direction of magnetic field. It comes to rest along the direction of magnetic field. In ferromagnetic case, if I write, it will come to rest because these are also attracted, but these are strongly attracted. So when it is freely suspended, like in a paramagnetic, where in a rod form it is a rod form, it comes to rest along. Suppose this is the direction of magnetic field from this side to this side. It comes to rest. Suppose it is freely suspended like that, it comes to rest like this slowly. But in this case of ferromagnetic, it comes to rest along the direction of magnetic field very fast. It comes to rest very fast along the direction of magnetic field. So I can write here also, when freely suspended, it comes to rest along the direction of magnetic field, very fast. It comes to rest along the direction of magnetic field very fast. Okay. So this is the two differentiation, and let me write the third one. Diamagnetic. The magnetic field lines do not prefer to pass through the diamagnetic material. The magnetic field lines do not prefer to pass through the material. Means what happens? Now, suppose this is a magnetic field line. Suppose this is a north pole and a south pole is there. When I place a diamagnetic material in this magnetic field, extra magnetic field, this north pole and the south pole. So what happens here? They do not prefer to pass through the magnetic materials. Means what? The field lines are like this, and this field line will not prefer to pass through this material. Means they will go outside this material like this. They do not prefer to pass through the material like this. No magnetic lines of force. Means what? No magnetic lines of force pass through the diamagnetic material. In other words, we can write, no magnetic lines of force pass through the diamagnetic material. In case of para case, most of the field lines, most of the magnetic field lines, prefer to pass through the paramagnetic material. Most of the, not all the lines of force. What are the lines of force? Most of the lines of force they can pass through the paramagnetic material. And in case of ferro, all the magnetic lines, or we can write this as, let me draw this one. In case of ferro, the most of the lines, right, almost all the magnetic field lines prefer to pass through the material, right? So if I draw this one, North Pole and a South Pole, right? So in this case, the most of the lines pass means when I place a paramagnetic material like this here, the paramagnetic material, then most of the lines pass means, most means almost, not all, most of the lines. So one line passes like this, the other one like this, and this lines of force may pass like this. Like this. So most of the lines of force pass through the material. But in case of ferromagnetic material, if I draw this for ferromagnetic material, almost all the lines of force, they pass through the ferromagnetic material. Okay, so this is the third one. Next we will take the another point is the fourth one. When the dielectric material are taken in a powder form, and in the powder form, and these are in the powder form placed on a watch glass, like here a convex glass, watch glass, and if this is in a powdered form like this, so these are the powdered diamagnetic material, and if it is placed over two magnetic poles, let me draw this one, a north pole and a south pole. This watch glass is placed over two magnetic poles like this. So here the magnetic field is stronger, here the magnetic field is stronger, because as you know, near the pole the magnetic field is very strong. So these are the two magnetic poles are placed like that, and a watch glass is placed over it. Over this watch glass, on this watch glass, we have taken the diamagnetic material in a powder form. If we place like that, this will not collect like that. It will not remain like this. What happens here? You see, what happens here? As this is a diamagnetic materials are repelled by the magnetic field. Where the magnetic field is stronger? In this region, the magnetic field is stronger. So if this region is stronger, or in this region, the magnetic field is comparatively these two, the magnetic field is weaker. So weak magnetic field means they are repelled by a magnetic field means by the strong magnetic field means you will collect the powder form, they will reset, and you will get a form like this in a heap, like a heap form. The powder is collected like this. So they are collected like a heap form. So I can write this as a heap. They are collected in the form of a heap. In case of paramagnetic material, if we take the same procedure over a magnetic pole, north pole, and a south pole, and that is put in a powder form, then they will be collected in what? These are attracted by the magnetic field, by the strong magnetic field. So here the magnetic field is stronger, here in this region the magnetic field is weaker. So we will get the collected in two steps. Like this, more is collected here because of the magnetic force is, the magnetic field is stronger. Here also the magnetic field is stronger. And in this region, you get a small, right? So they are collected in two steps. In two steps. In this case also, the same thing is happening. So same. So I will write this as a same as a para. Same as a paramagnetic. So if I write this as a, so if we write this as a, the fourth one, we can write this as a, let me write this fourth one. Fourth one, I can write with a figure, you can say. Then, taken in powder form, in a watch glass and placed over two magnetic poles separated by a small distance, then taken in powder form in a watch glass and placed over two magnetic poles separated by a small distance. They collected in a heap. Here I will write in two steps. The same thing is right. They collected in two steps. Here also the same in two steps. They are collected in two steps. Clear? So this is the fourth one. Right? Next I will go to the next differences. That is the fifth one. The fifth one is when the diamagnetic materials are taken in a liquid form and placed in a U tube. U form tube. A U form tube like this. The diameter is uniform always. Using the U tube. When in liquid form, what you will find? At the two limbs, these are the two limbs, the liquid is in the same level. In the natural. Naturally, they are in the same level. But if I take a magnetic pole or a magnetic field like this, north and south, one of the limb is in between a magnetic field, but this is not in a magnetic field. Means the field is stronger in this limb, the field is weaker in this limb. Because of this one, you will get some magnetic field, but it is weaker. So what happens here? Is these are repelled by the magnetic field. So you will get what? In this limb, the liquid level get depressed, but here the liquid level will be raised because here the stronger field, so it is depressed. Here it is raised. So here the liquid is raised in this limb. But in case of a paramagnetic material, if you take in a U tube in a liquid form like this, in a liquid form, suppose initially they are both at the same level and they are in a liquid form. paramagnetic liquid in liquid form, paramagnetic material in a liquid form. So what we will find here, again if you place a magnetic field, North Pole and a South Pole, so here they are attracted by the, weakly attracted by the magnetic field. Means in this region you will get the liquid is raised, here it is a depressed, here it is comes depressed, here it is a raised. So it is depressed and in this region it is a raised. And in case of ferro, it is the same as a para. Same as a paramagnetic. It is same as a paramagnetic. The same thing is happening in a ferro because they are also attracted by a magnetic field. Okay. So this is the fifth one, right? So this is the fifth differences. Next we will go to the sixth one. The sixth one is that in sixth case the behavior shows the diamagnetic material shows a behavior that in this case the magnetic flux density of diamagnetic materials is much more or is smaller than the magnetic flux density of the diamagnetic material is less than the intensity of magnetizing field. The magnetic flux density of diamagnetic material is less than the intensity of magnetizing field. In case of para, the magnetic flux density is greater than the intensity of magnetization. In case of ferro, the magnetic flux density is very greater than the intensity of magnetizing field. So from here we can say that, as you know, B by H is called, as what do you know by B by H, or you can know that B is equal to mu into H. The flux density related to magnetizing field B is equal to mu H for free space, B not equal to mu naught H. Permeability of free space, permeability of the material, of the medium. So accordingly, if B is greater than this case, in this one, if B is greater than this, I can write this as B by H, which is called as a mu. So the mu should be less than 1. Mu should be, the permeability is less than 1. We can say that the permeability is less than 1. So this is another point. B by H, that is the mu, because B is less than H means B by H is less than 1. So B by H is your mu is less than 1. Here, B by H, mu is greater than 1 permeability. And here, B by H is very greater than 1 for ferromagnetic material. B by H, that is called as your mu. The permeability of ferromagnetic materials is very greater than 1. Clear? So this is the number 7. Then come to the 8th one, the magnetic flux density. The magnetic flux density inside, the magnetic flux density inside a diamagnetic material is less than in air medium. Is less than in the air medium. Means let the external magnetic field is B naught, and inside the material, diamagnetic material, the flux density is B. So what it says, this B is the flux density in this region is less than flux density in air, magnetic flux density in air. So if you write in words, magnetic flux density B in the material is less than the flux density in air. So I can write B is less than B naught. Why this is so? as you already know that when you place a diamagnetic material in a magnetic field, the magnetic lines of force do not prefer to pass through the material. Means inside the material, the magnetic field is naturally weaker compared to the outside. So outside is your air medium where the magnetic flux density is B naught. In air, that is your B naught. So B inside the material is less than B naught. Okay. So as you know, B by B naught is called as what? This is called as the relative permeability. Already you know the definition. Relative permeability is the magnetic flux density in the material to the magnetic flux density in the air. That is called relative permeability. So this relative permeability is less than 1. Permeability is less than 1. Relative permeability is less than 1. So this is gives you another one. This is I can write it the ninth one is that relative permeability is less than 1. Here the same is the magnetic flux density in the material is slightly greater than the flux density in air or greater than the flux density in air. So B is greater than B naught. So in the next part you can write B by B naught, that is your relative permeability of paramagnetic material, is greater than 1. Here it is very larger than the magnetic permeability inside the paramagnetic material is very larger than B naught. So I can write this as B by B naught, that is equal to mu r, that is very greater than 1. That is the another point you can write. Okay, so this is the ninth one. So the relative permeability is greater than 1. Okay. So next point we will go to the. So let me write the next one. Write 10th one, suppose 10th, right? So this is the 10th one. The substance gets magnetized when placed in a magnetic field. When a magnetic material is placed in a magnetic field, it gets magnetized. The substance gets magnetized in a direction opposite to the magnetic field. This substance gets magnetized in a direction. Okay, so this substance gets magnetized in a direction opposite to the magnetic field. Or you can write the substance gets weakly magnetized, because these are weakly attracted. So you can write weakly magnetized in a direction opposite to the magnetic field. Here in this part you can write this paramagnetic substance. This substance gets weakly magnetized in a direction. It is in opposite direction because they are repelled in a direction of the magnetic field. Here we can write for ferro, these are gets magnetized in the direction of magnetic field, but we can write here that gets strongly magnetized in a direction of the magnetic field. Strongly magnetized in the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, so this is your 10th one. Then I will go to the 11th one. The diamagnetic materials, their magnetic susceptibility. The magnetic susceptibility of diamagnetic materials is less than, or you can say this is the magnetic susceptibility of diamagnetic materials is less than 1, or I can write this as, what is the susceptibility you can say? The magnetic susceptibility you can write as I, or magnetization by magnetizing field, intensity of magnetizing field. intensity of magnetizing field. So that is also less than 1. So M is less than H for diamagnetic materials. Here the magnetic susceptibility is greater than 1, or I can write M by H is greater than 1, so M is greater than H. Here the magnetic susceptibility is very greater than 1, so I can write M by H is very greater than 1, or M is very greater than H. Right? So this is the next one. Then I can write, from here I can write, next one, the magnetization of diamagnetic material is negative. I can write this M is negative. Here in this paramagnetic material, M is greater than 1, it is slightly positive. It is completely positive. This M is positive. So magnetization is negative, here is slightly positive, and here you can write as a small positive value, here is a large positive value, or you can write as a slightly positive or small positive value, here large positive value. Which one? This magnetization M. This M, here is a M, large positive value. Okay. So this is the differentiation between dia, para, and ferro. And the most one is that what we have read about Curie law. From that Curie law, we will differentiate this dia, para, and ferro. And another thing you remember that if you plot a graph between M and H for dia, para, and ferro, if it is asked plot a graph between MH for dia, para, and ferro, what the graph shows, let me draw the graph also for this one. It is proportional is that, but if you plot a graph for this one, for diamagnetic material, as this M is negative, so I can put this M on the negative side because magnetization is negative, and this is the intensity of magnetizing field, and the graph shows linear, proportional, but it is a negative, in the negative side. In case of para, if you plot a graph, because it is positive, so M magnetization versus magnetizing field, it is a proportional. But in case of ferro, it is not exactly proportional. In case of ferro, if you plot between the M and H, we will get a curve like this. It is not linear, it is curved like this. So, and from here, remember one thing that is not in your syllabus also, you can say from here, the ferromagnetic material shows hysteresis. They shows hysteresis. What is this hysteresis? Ferromagnetic material. Out of these three, there is no dia, no para. Only ferromagnetic material shows a behavior that is called hysteresis behavior. What is this hysteresis behavior? When a ferromagnetic material is magnetized and again demagnetized, what happens? It will not come to its initial state. Means the hysteresis curve for a ferromagnetic material, if you plot a graph between M and H, you will get a curve like this. When the magnetic field intensity increases, it gets magnetization increases, and it goes like this, fall like this, right? So in this way, but then the magnetic field strength decreases. Now it increases. Now if it decreases, it will not come along this path. Now it is increasing along this path, but when we are decreasing, it will not come along this path, and it will not come to this position. It comes to here. So initially, when H is equal to 0, at this point, M is also 0. There is no magnetization. But once the H increases, it gets magnetization finite, then comes to saturation. Then if you decrease the magnetic field, now the magnetic field comes to 0, it has a magnetization, it retains. So this, in the same way, if you apply the opposite magnetic field, it decreases and comes to 0. The magnetization comes to 0 in this case. And again in the negative side, H is negative, here is positive, here is negative. If in the opposite side, the magnetic field is opposite, then it goes on increasing like this. Then again if you decrease this one in the negative side, then it will show this path. Again it will go like along this path. Then again if you increase the magnetic field and on the opposite direction, then it will show like this and it reaches there. So this curve is called as a hysteresis curve. From this hysteresis curve, the ferromagnetic material, only the ferromagnetic material shows this curve. There is no para, no dia, there shows this curve. So this is a hysteresis curve. This is the hysteresis curve, which is shown by a ferromagnetic material. This is not required to write in this case. You only can write that ferromagnetic materials shows, let me make another point here, that is, so 11 or 12 or 13 like that, shows hysteresis curve. Here you can write, does not show hysteresis curve. Hysteresis curve. Here also the same thing, does not show. Does not show the hysteresis curve. And remember one thing, from this hysteresis curve, the ferromagnetic materials are again divided into a soft ferromagnetic and a hard ferromagnetic. A soft ferromagnetic and a hard ferromagnetic. On the basis of this hysteresis curve, they are again divided into two cases. That is a different thing that is not required here. So we write on the differentiation part. Okay. So next comes to the Curie law. On the basis of the Curie law, how they are differentiated? For a diamagnetic material, it does not obey Curie law. Does not obey Curie law. As I already told that the susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature. But the diamagnetic materials does not obey the Curie law. Means that susceptibility not depends on temperature. Susceptibility does not depend on temperature means I can plot a graph like this. This is the magnetic susceptibility and this is the temperature. If you increase the temperature or decrease the temperature, the susceptibility remains constant. It does not depend upon temperature. But in case of paramagnetic material, the susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature. What is the Curie law? So I can write this as, or if you plot a graph, the magnetic susceptibility versus temperature, it shows the curve inversely proportional. Right? The magnetic susceptibility is inversely proportional to the temperature. So it obeys Curie law. I can write this as obeys Curie law. It obeys the Curie law. Okay. Then, in case of, if you plot for a ferromagnetic material, it obeys the Curie law with modification. What is that modification? The magnetic susceptibility Im is equal to, this is Curie constant divided by T minus Tc. T minus Tc. It depends upon the absolute temperature by the relation magnetic susceptibility equal to C, Curie constant by T minus Tc. Where this Tc is called as the transition temperature. Tc is called as the transition temperature. What is this transition temperature? If you plot the graph, what it shows, now you see here, the magnetic susceptibility versus temperature, what you find, up to a particular temperature Tc, means when the T is very, very greater than Tc. This T is very, very greater than Tc. Or it is greater than Tc, then you neglect this Tc, then chi m equal to C by T, which is equal to this relation. Chi m is equal to C by T. That is the Curie law. Paramagnetic material, the susceptibility equal to C by T. But in case of ferro, the magnetic susceptibility equal to C by T minus Tc. If I neglect this Tc, because if T is very, very greater than Tc, T is very, very greater than Tc. Suppose this is the Tc point, then it is same as that of, I can write this as chi m is equal to C by T. With this condition, T is very greater than Tc, chi m equal to C by T. Means it is just like your para. So just like your para means, suppose this is a Tc temperature. Temperature is greater than this, then it is a para. Like your susceptibility is inversely proportional to absolute temperature. But below this one, it is a ferro. It is a ferromagnetic. Below Tc, below the critical temperature, it is ferro. Above this one, it is a paramagnetic. It is a paramagnetic. So that's why it is called as the transition temperature. At this transition temperature, ferro changes to para. The simple example is that when you heat a ferromagnetic material, its magnetization or its magnetic property, it loses and it becomes a paramagnetic material. Means it is weakly attracted. Now it is strongly attracted in ferro, it is weakly attracted by a magnetic or by a magnet. Okay. So this is the transition temperature. Okay. So this is the differentiation between dia, para and ferromagnetic materials. Okay. With this differentiation, you remember 5 to 7 points from each side. Then you differentiate this dia, para and ferromagnetic materials, which is a 3-mark question generally asked, differentiate between dia, para and ferromagnetic material. Or if anyone is asked, write the properties of diamagnetic material. You write up 8 to 10 properties. Write the properties of paramagnetic. Write the properties of ferromagnetic. You can write what is asked according to the exam question. Okay.